Welcome, everyone. I'm here with the wonderful, super talented and dedicated Linda Woodhead. Hi, Linda. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm well. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. And I want you to introduce yourself. Tell everyone all about you and what you do, because today I want this to be a really, really dedicated to supporting the beauty professional around the Australian Beauty Industry Awards and what this could mean to them and how they could, because we're talking about the awards coming up. When are they coming up this year?
August, as
August.
usual. It's
Yeah.
always on the same last night of Beauty Expo.
Awesome. So we want to talk about that. We're going to talk about submissions. We're going to talk about a lot of really great things. But first, tell everyone all about you, because I think you should do that.
Okay. I'll try and bring this into a little bit of a brief thing. So I own Mocha Group. We rebranded about 2 years ago to Mocha Group from Mocha Publishing. The reason behind that was that when we launched, which was we launched in 2006, and we started off predominantly as a publishing company in the hair, beauty and barber industries. Obviously, that's now moved into events as well. So we now have 4 awards a year, 2 in the hair industry, 1 in beauty and 1 in barber. And the events have kind of taken over quite a bit. We've got competitions as well for the youth, I guess, of the industry and the rising stars. We've extended, I guess, because we have to, in terms of the digital online platforms, our social platforms. We're just about to move into a community village sort of situation that I can talk about. And also another new division we're looking at is called Mocha Visual, where we're offering a lot more by way of photography, videography, all sorts of different things. So publishing was sort of just one thing. So we changed to Mocha Group. Obviously, within that, in the beauty industry, we have Beauty Biz magazine, which comes out 6 times a year. And we have the ABIAs, the Australian Beauty Industry Awards, that we hold annually, that we've been doing now, I think started in 2011. So has been going for quite a while now. When you look at all past winners, you look at the names, it's like, oh my gosh, that's been going for a long time now.
Yeah, it's incredible. And I love being a part of the Australian Beauty Industry Awards. I love what you do, what you and your team do. It is extraordinary. Now, I want to tell everyone I was there in 2018 and I've only been to one.
You're a winner.
I was a winner, yeah. Which was, for me, it was so amazing because, being nominated, becoming the finalist, and then winning the 2018 Educator of the Year Award. To me, it was kind of, I remember that day because I went up with my PA and Toby to Sydney, or went down, I should say, because we were up north then, and in Australia. Yeah. And the event was unbelievable. And I have to say one thing, my PA at that time, loved that girl. She's now mum, and I just loved that I've seen her grow so much. She was having this really bad hair day, Linda, and I actually stepped in late. I was sitting on the sofa, just waiting for both of them. And I was all ready and dusted, and they're saying to me, have you written a speech? And I said, well, I don't know. I didn't go there to win. I really went there to just be a part of it, because it was such an extraordinary event. Like, this is no normal event. I want to just tell you all this. It was unbelievable.
No, it's pretty spectacular, and I think year on year it's obviously grown. Last year, I mean, obviously 2 years COVID, we had a bit of a hiccup because and we had to bring them online, but we were still able to do them, and it was an important thing to still do that. Everyone still entered. We managed to get all the sponsors to record everything. I mean, to be honest, the online one was much more of a headache than it was the normal one.
The normal one.
Because you sort of you know, when we go there on the night, and I have somebody that goes and picks up the sponsors from their chair, takes them backstage. That's all we've got to do, and then they go out on stage to present. Whereas when you do it online, you've got to get in touch with them, you've got to get them to do a video, they've all got to be landscape, and so it's a nightmare. But it was important, I felt, for us to continue that momentum, and also for I think the only way we changed it was that the award period that people had to report on in their submissions, we gave them longer than 12 months so that they could then talk about pre, during and post COVID, which was an important thing to do, and brought in new questions for them to answer about, you know, challenges and what have you. But it's definitely grown. I think, you know, now, I mean, you've been away. So for a couple of years, you know, I think we sit on around about 700-800 people. It's doubled probably almost since you came.
It's just incredible, isn't it? Incredible.
It's such a good night. It's one where you know, the industry do all come together. Yes, it's a competition of awards, but I do feel, especially in the beauty industry, it's one that everybody kind of embraces together. They all dress up. It's yeah, it's a beautiful night, and we've evolved it hopefully each year, looking at what's happening with trends within the industry, bringing in new categories. We can't bring in any more because we've got enough, otherwise we'll be doing it over 2 days like they do the Oscars.
Do they really do the Oscars over 2 days? I didn't even know.
Yeah, they do some of the smaller categories in a day event or in the day before, and then they do the big, you know, the big ones on that night. So and the reason that it's quite big, I guess, compared to our other awards in the hair industry is that when, you know, just with the state awards, for example, if you're going to give a business award away for the best salon in the state, in hair, it's quite easy. In beauty, you've got to have 2 per state because we do split it between salons that have 4 rooms or less or 5 rooms or more. Because
I know. Really, as a judge, I know that you do that.
Yeah. And we've also we've evolved this year. When we first started, we had Salon Business of the Year in one lot of categories, and then we had Day Spa as well. We dropped Day Spa and we incorporated it into Salon Spa of the Year for our business ones. And the reason we did that was we had some of our spa winners suddenly switch over into the salon categories. And when I asked them why, they said that they didn't want to win the title of Day Spa of the Year because people then thought that they were just like a retreat kind of spa, and yet they were still a beauty salon, and they wanted to show that that's what they were. What's happened, and so even though the split between them was, I guess, if you've got water treatment, meaning that you're spa, they just wanted that all in salon. So we changed it, and they all became, you know, New South Wales Salon Spa of the Year. What we've done this year, which is a new development, is that it's a bit of a mouthful, but we've also introduced the word clinic. And the reason for that is
that makes sense.
We have a lot of salons that don't want to be called beauty salons. They want to be called clinics because they're becoming a lot more prescriptive. They're becoming much more about dermal therapies as opposed to a beauty salon that may be seen as their name. In just terms of, you know, the facials, the more beauty treatments, rather than, you know, working with the skin, working with equipment, working with prescriptive products and what have you. So I spoke to a few of the people that have entered over the years that I'd noticed hadn't entered last year, and asked them why. And the answer resoundingly from all of them was that they see themselves as a clinic.
Well, that's amazing, isn't it? So what goes on behind the scenes is just phenomenal for you. Like you've got your finger on the pulse. I really love that.
Well, you have to notice what's happening, because it's like I was looking at some of them going, why are they not doing this? And I was also noticing on socials and various different platforms, a lot of people that I would normally think of as an owner of a beauty salon had dropped the word salon completely and are now using the word clinic. Clinic is the word that they all use. So I went to all of them and said, okay, if I was to change this and make it salon spa clinic, but what we've also introduced is that if somebody wins that category, I've got no problem with them dropping either one of those words, so that will suit them and their business. Because in the past we've had very strict rules on, if you win a category, this is what the category is called, and this is what it has to stay it's called. That's part of our, you know, culture, I guess, and ruling, that if you are the, I don't know, cosmetic tattooist of the year, that's what you are. You can't suddenly add words to it to change it. But what we've said now with this one is, if you are purely a clinic and that's what you want to be, and you win Australian Salon Spa Clinic of the Year, I've got no problem with you just calling that Australian Clinic of the Year. And then if you are a salon, you can be salon. If you're spa, you can be spa. But I think we have to evolve the way that the industry does, because we are, you know, giving people the chance to have a health check of their business every year by entering and looking at all the stuff that they've got to put in.
This is actually what I want to talk about. This is so important, because I'm going to go back to 2018 when I did that. It was an eye opener, you know, even though you know, our business was large, and we everything's got its checks, and you know, you're crossing the I's, crossing the T's, dotting all your I's. There was something really refreshing about putting in the submission and answering these really amazing questions and reflecting. And I think that in our salons, I mean, I've had salons for years, since I was 21. We won't talk about how old I am now, but anyway, that's another story.
But almost the same.
It's a very long time, and you don't often give yourself the time to be reflective. You know, we can get on that, you know, you're just going. And I think that what the submission does, it creates a pause. You know, it's kind of this pause where you have to be really, truly, deeply reflective. Now, for me, it wasn't, like I said before, it wasn't about winning, because, you know, like it was so lovely to just go and have really dropped all of that. I didn't actually even care. And that's why I really haven't resubmitted to win again, because I think for me, that was all I needed. It was just that happened, and it was beautiful. And I love that I could give someone, the new people, the space to go in and experience that. You know, I didn't need to go do it 2 or 3 times. For me, it was just, that was kind of enough. And then coming in as a judge and seeing the submissions, it's unbelievable. Like it's truly, Linda, incredible.
I mean, it's grown ridiculously, which is why now I think, as well as, you know, when it doubles, you also have to double everything else. So you have to double the size of the menu, but most importantly, you have to double the number of the judges, because it gets to a point where there's so much there to read. We did restrict it by word count a couple of years ago, because it's just was getting a bit out of hand. And people were writing
all these amazing people.
So we've done that.
Yeah.
But I think in business especially, you know, the individual category is a little bit different, like beauty therapists and that kind of thing. But for the business ones, I think when we're in business, we are constantly looking at our figures, and we're looking at financials, and we know all them because we have to do our BASs and all the rest of it. But when it comes to looking at, you know, what our team culture is, what our customer care is, what our marketing is, and all those things, I don't think many businesses look at that, unless maybe if they have a business coach, they might look at it, but they're still looking at trying to increase that bottom line. So to be able to, you know, there's the cliche quote of it's the journey, not the destination. But with this, it really is. I think that the actual process of submitting and putting that and that's why we give them, I mean, we've just opened, I think it was last week, and they've got like 4 months to enter. The reason we give them so long is because if you do it properly, it's something that you can hop in and out of, that you can look at. But more importantly, once you've submitted for this year, I think the real joy comes the following year, because then when you do it again and you look back at what you did the year before, it's a really good way of looking at what you've done, where you've come from, you know, without even thinking about it. You know, you can have this thought, but unless you actually speak it or write it down and get it out there, I just think that, you know, one of the questions is about challenges, and by writing those challenges down straight away makes you think about them. Whereas if somebody doesn't stand in front of you and say, what were the challenges you had in your business in the last 12 months, you would not voice that, because you don't want to think about it. Whereas this makes you think about it. So I would say the most work that we've done as a company with our awards is really fine-tune the questions. It's not just like put together.
Great.
Makes people really look at their business. And I think that's then a win.
So, you know, there are so many categories, so no one really is left out. I mean, that's true. Everyone's got a space to go in there and put their best foot forward and really reflect on their
we've
business.
added. We've added. So
so
last year, before we changed what I was talking about just now with the spa salon clinic, last year we only had, the year before last, we had an individual, we had beauty therapist of the year. And then we jumped to sort of business director owner of the year. We included in that now dermal therapist of the year, because there are, again, difference between beauty and dermal.
Yes.
And there are some people that specialize in dermal, whether it be as a clinician through a degree or whether it just be as a therapist. But it's very different to what they may put in a submission as a beauty therapist. So we included that. We've added one category this year, and it's hopefully the last one we'll ever, because I think now we're covered.
Are you sure?
Yes.
I'm going to hold you to that.
I know, I'm not doing another one. And so what we've added is the one before that, because I look at them as being a complete kind of career path. And we've added junior therapist of the year.
Oh, that's sweet, isn't it? I love that.
Yeah. Now, there's a rule behind that, so they don't have to be, the criteria behind the junior therapist of the year is that they either need to be still in training or they can be out of training, but within their first year. Right. So they are a junior therapist.
Right.
That means that we can go to colleges for them to put somebody through, because they have to have a testimonial from their teacher, or we can go to salons that have just got somebody new that's in their first year. And I think what that does then is a natural kind of progression where they can start to understand in their first year, because the biggest problem with beauty, and it's the same as in hair, is sometimes people get their diploma or qualification, and then unless they're given some opportunities, I don't know that they then see where their career can go. So by entering into junior, it then means that, you know, if they then get finalists, and it's a simple one, it's not as hard as some of the other big submission ones, you know, they can get finalists, they can get that accolade, they can come on the night, they can see all these incredible people and what they've done, and hopefully that will play a small part in showing them why they should stay in the industry, because not all of them do.
I really love that, and I think that that's a key thing for salon owners of clinics, better say the right words. You know how important that is nowadays. But I think it's really important, because we're looking at the future of the beauty industry. We're looking at, they are the future of our industry. And that really shows me that you guys are just so on point with that. And I think that's something that's been coming up for me, is how do we support these new girls that are coming into a very different industry than what we did, Linda? You know, when I came into the industry, you know, nearly 40 years ago, we were in a different world. Right? We're in a different world right now. We have to just really accept that, and we need to support this future generation to really want to do more. And and we were talking about this just before, and I'm going to interview on, you know, a couple of other things in the future, because I think it's really important to talk about them. But they're just such a key part of what the industry is going to look like in the future. So I'm really glad that you've added that. Oh, I like that category. That's actually really cool. I love it. With that one. Yeah, I really love it. And so we've spoken about the submissions really drawing out of, you know, and this is where I think that, you know, people should really do it themselves. They should really sit down and pour their heart and soul into that, because it is such an important part. Like, it isn't really just about the award, you know, it's about it's the journey to the award. It's about, what are you going to learn? What is this going to offer you? You know, you can have an award on your counter. It's like certificates. You can have 1 million certificates on your wall, but, you know, it's not really about that. You know, at the end of the day, how is it going to, you know, how are you going to really grow from this experience? Because it's an incredible experience, and it's just beautiful, you know, to be able to go up there and thank people. I think there's three parts to it. The first is obviously the submission process, which we've talked about, which is really important. The second part is getting to that stage of being recognized and having that accolade, whether it be as finalist and then ultimately as winner. That's the next part. Then the last part is sometimes the part that people forget, because they have a great night, they get
a trophy, they go put it on their shelf in their salon, and don't realize how much they can leverage that for their business. So we've also introduced, we've got a PR company that contracts to us for the year. And so what they do is that they work with all of our winners. ABIA this 101 to all of our winners. They send them personalized press releases all ready to go. We send them details of all local media and other people that we think might be able to get them some form of traction. So I never wanted these awards just to be about the trophy. These awards were always about everything, and so that's a really big part of it, and we've thrown a lot into that. In fact, last year, I think we did a bit of an exercise because we've managed to get some of our winners on TV. We've got them on morning shows, radios, like every single media, whether it be online, blogs, whatever. But we're now finding by doing that and investing back into that, our winners are now coming back and saying, oh my God, this actually increased my business.
Yeah, that's fabulous. That's fabulous.
So if that means as an individual, you get some form of accolade that is now nationally recognized because we've been around for long enough for you to look at other employment, that's one thing. If you want your business to do better and you can promote the fact that you are the best salon or you are the best at customer care or whatever, and can work how to leverage that and bring that back. And it's not just about having a logo on the front desk.
That's
it's about all the other media opportunities. We are a media company, so we feel that it's our kind of duty, I guess, to then help these people tell them how to deal with the media, how to get media placement, how not to pay for it, how to get on TV. We'll organize that for you, all those kind of things.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's just so amazing.
It's probably part of the prize package, I guess, that we should be yelling a bit more about, which is our own fault because we're in media and we're not doing that enough, but we will be.
Well, you are now. Just keep saying it.
I know. So it's an important part, and I think it takes some people by surprise as to how much we do try to do and try to help. It's a bit like product companies sometimes ring me and sort of say, we want to try and get more salons on our books. Who do you think we should be approaching? And I always say, you just need to look at my finalists and winners because they're the ones that are really out there.
They're the ones that really,
And so that's another thing. What comes out of it is that they tend to then put themselves on the map and they become almost a commodity within the industry, where suddenly all these amazing companies want to partner with them and deal with them, and they want them to be part of their journey. So suddenly, the deals that they used to get, they suddenly get better deals because they've got the negotiating arm. I think that's part of it as well. So I think it gets forgotten that it's not just about a trophy. It's about community, it's about culture, it's about the competition, but it's about how you can leverage that for your business. And that's when I see people doing that well, that's what I want them to do.
What I love what you said just before, and I just want to speak about this a little bit more. What is really understanding, like for a salon that's a location business, we've been distracted so much by social media in a way. We often beauty professionals just want to have a whole lot of likes, a whole lot of followers, and that means something. But when you're a location business, we've forgotten about what people read in their location. We've forgotten about the local rag, the local whatever that, people are picking up the free things. I remember when I had my salon when I was 21 and through to 30 in a particular, like, not country town, but Geelong, which is like near Melbourne. It's not really country, is it? But it was,
but it's not CBD.
No, it's not CBD, but it's grown a lot. And even then, one of the key things that I did was get free editorials in the papers. And I used to do events that used to bring in all the most, incredible women to come to these events. And it was just a word by mouth, then it became, word of mouth. But I was in the papers because that's what people were reading. People still read papers and really going into your local area. I never paid for any of it. I did pay for advertising at times, but I used to get a lot of free editorials. And I think that editorial space. And I
Because
think for a location business, it's important.
Yeah, if you've got a story to tell, I mean, I'm on the other side of it. So if somebody approaches me and says, I've got this great story, I'm going to email it to you. Here's everything that you need. Here's the photos. Here's the story.
Yeah.
Here's the URL links. Here's everything. I might have somebody else that calls me and says, oh, I've got an idea, but we don't always have time to do all of that for somebody. So if it's just sent to us, it might not always be the better story, but if it's easy as an editor of,
well,
like,
that's exactly right, isn't it?
Because we haven't got
There's a bit of
time.
space,
So
yeah.
I run a one of the with one of the categories that we have in the awards, which is the beauty squad, which is for our team of 4 young up and comings. One of the sessions that I have with them, which I know you were involved with on the last ones, is to teach them how to deal with the media, because most people don't know, and they think it's really hard. And it's not hard. If you just make our job easy, we love you.
You know, you know what I'd like to do, Linda? Let's do another session where you talk about that, because
yeah, I'd love to.
So important. I'm amazed often at how little that is used in our industry when we're location businesses. We're location businesses. We don't need to have followers from America. If you've got a salon in Melbourne, like, what do you want to have that? You know, it's kind of like, again, a reorientation inside of yourself is what are your followers for? They're to convert, they're to come in and give you money. I mean, that's what social media is for a salon, isn't it? It's so important.
There's still there's part of it because numbers always look good, but I think generally at the end of the day, it's about getting bums on seats. So you need
I totally agree.
To pull those people in means getting in touch with now your local media may not necessarily be a newspaper, but it could be, you know, anyone within any realm of any media channel, whether it's online, whether it's a blog, whether it's a website, whether it's socials, but there's so many different ones now. But you can bring that in and look at, you know, if you're in a local area and there is a local magazine that's put out to whoever, then you need to know the editor of that, and you need to invite her in to see what you do, and you need to know that she's not going to come in at a time that suits you, she's going to come in a time that suits her. And then you can do, you know, you can get in touch with your local florist down the road and say, look, you know, if you come and put some flowers in my thing, I'll do your facial every week, and can we put a business card or a leaflet into your place of business as well? And there's so many old school ways that a lot of people don't use, and there's also new ones as well. You know, I love it when our winners are from, you know, not necessarily country, they're from country towns, because sometimes they are quite restricted in what they can do, so they have to do it really, really well. I mean, our Australian salon of the year at the moment is from Mount Isa, so, you know, they're not a CBD salon.
That's amazing, isn't it?
You know, so that to me is and it's important for them, because then any salons that are in those areas can then stand out over and above others, because then they start getting other opportunities. The owner is then asked to speak at a conference and get paid for that, or maybe you know, increase the size of the salon and maybe be able to negotiate for leases. Like it goes so much further than just the award. And I think if it also instills that extra confidence, then so there's definitely 3 parts. There's the entry, there's the night, which is fantastic, and then there's the after, and it's the after that's probably the most important if you win. If you don't win, it's the previous, because then you can just, you know, you can better that every time. And our industry is, you know, on the whole, I mean, obviously not 100%, but on the whole, everyone is very happy to help and talk to about, you know, what they did maybe and what somebody else didn't do, or what helps them with their submissions or not, or, you know, there's people out there that will help. And I think that you know, it's as a community, it's been wonderful for us to watch it grow, because it has absolutely grown.
It's just fabulous. It's fabulous. And I think the beauty industry really deserves to have something like this. You know, if you think about the women in the beauty industry, Linda, you know, they're nurturers, they're givers, you know, they're there like putting their heart and their soul. Like if you ask any beauty professional, why did you, well, not any, but the majority, why did you start in beauty? It's because they want to make women look and feel beautiful. You know, they've got that in them. And if you think about the energy that takes, you know, to pour yourself into that, and really taking these girls, I mean, what I love is just taking these women, and young girls, and helping them, you know, create themselves in the industry in a way that's respectful, high value. Like they really start, and this is what I think this is. And if they leave their ego out of it, it's hard because it's an award, right? And so most people kind of think that it's not about you being special. To me, it's not about that. It's about really deeply valuing what you offer the world and presenting that. Like that to me, it's all about the extension, you know. So for me, if someone came to me and said, oh, you know, how do I write my submission? I would say to them, look at what you're, you know, what do you add? What do you extend to the world? How do you make the world and the women that come to you better? And I think it's such a powerful thing. And I recommend, you know, people look at it. Go and take a look at it. Go and take a look at the category.
I think sometimes they get a bit of a knock, and one of the biggest questions I get sometimes if somebody doesn't win and they're disappointed, I guess, is that I'll get a call and they'll say, you know, what can I do? What should I have done better? And I'll say to those people generally, there's probably not much you can do better because you've poured everything into this, but it's just that it's not that you've done anything wrong. It's just that somebody else has done it that little bit better. And so there are little things that you can do to tweak a submission, that if a judge has got, you know, however many entries that they're looking at, and they've got maybe their top 2 that they're trying to decide on, sometimes it can come down to something really quite simple. And it can be just something that just shows that little bit of extra point of difference or care or passion or, you know, and so there's certain things that are really simple to do. Like, for example, if you're writing a submission and it's an individual submission, a beauty therapist, dermal therapist, it's always got to be in the first person. It's I've done this, I've done that, because it's about you. Whereas if you're doing a submission for your team, it's about team. So it should be we and they, and this is how we have worked together. It shouldn't be about I got the team to do this and I got the team to do that. So there's little tiny subtle things that may not necessarily show better or worse in terms of the content of the submission, but they may be those little things that a judge, it's all they've got to go, oh, these two are so close.
Yes.
Which one tips over the edge? And generally that's to do with you know, little things like grammar and spelling and anything. It's like if you're going to take care over your profession and your career and what you love to do, then you need to put the same feelings into this submission, because that's a reflection of you. If your salon is beautiful, then make your submission look beautiful. Like there's little things.
I mean, I know as a judge, it's not like, you know, it's a tough job. It's such a tough job. Like, you know, I love doing it because I just love reading, you know, reading the submissions, and I love seeing the passion. The authenticity is really important to me, you know, when it comes across, and it's just so you can just feel it. It's almost like you're reading a submission and you're feeling the person, you know. I really love that. But it's not an easy thing. It's not like, you know, people are just picking this, that, or the other. Like, you know, the judges have got like such an unbelievable task ahead of them.
I usually say to a lot of people, one of my biggest points of advice is that even though when you first open the award site, the first one to do is your opening statement, which is like your elevator pitch, I guess. It's kind of, you know, what can I put in that amount of words to make somebody really believe why I need to win this award. Because it's the first one, a lot of people write it first. I would always say that's the last thing you should do. You should write everything else and then do your statement first.
Well, that's
because
cool.
your opening statement is the bait. It's like, you know, don't give all the information away. Don't sort of, you know, tell them that you've doubled in size and your profit's gone up by this amount and blah blah blah. Just give little teasers of, you know, it may be a case of we've doubled our clientele in 6 months and that's it. You don't say why or how. You say that in the other bits, in customer care, in finance, and everything else. But it makes the judge look at it and go, "Oh my God, how did they do that? I want to know more." So it's teaser stuff. It's not, you know, fluffy, and it's kind of, you find that if you've written all the other things, you can take a little bit from each section, put that into your opening statement, and you've then got a perfect opening statement. It's like writing the sleeve of a novel where they've only got that much space for,
and that's what you have.
That's
That's so true. So really what it is, really, when you think about it, it's like a marketing exercise as well as, you know, everything
100%.
else. It's got to be very, very intelligently and wisely done, because, you know, you've got judges that are reading, in some cases, so many. I mean, I can tell you so many where your brain's about to explode, right? And you've got to come back, and each you've got to remember specific ones that are going to stand out, and so on. I love that piece of advice, and I think that you know, anyone that wants to step in, I would suggest it's a great experience. And I would also suggest to you that it's not really about the winning, because it's about the learning and if you, and the growth. And if you see it like that, you won't be afraid to enter because you're afraid of being rejected or disappointed. It's not an you got to leave your emotions at the door. You know, real entrepreneurs, their emotions are really not what run them, you know, and we've got to learn that as females, I think, you know, as women, because we have that. And sometimes that really, well, not sometimes, every time actually, you know, you're stopped by that emotional kind of body that you have, right? And how you feed it, that's really important. So you really got to leave it at the door, and you really have to think to yourself, you know, am I going to step into this as a learning growth experience? That's what I think is key, because then the disappointment, it's kind of like not, oh, I didn't win. It's kind of like, oh, okay, this is amazing. Like, what can I do that, you know, what's my next for next year? And it's really like draws the very best out of you. Isn't that right? Like, it's kind of like that. And for me, it was really important, Linda, to step into judging, because I'm so old now. I don't need to win any more awards. But, you know, it's really about supporting others, and really, you know, for me, that was key. Like, I love that part of it, because it also gives me a real view into the industry, which I love, you know, so much. So I think that, but for girls out there that are, you know, in it, and their whole careers, girls, the rest of your career is like, go for it. You know, it's right in front of you.
And I want to emphasize as well that from the judging perspective, we make sure that, like I said, we have a lot of judges, and we get more and more each year because we get more and more entries. But we have judges from both within the industry and outside of the industry. They're not all within it. You know, for example, with salon design, we have 2 architects judge that have nothing to do with the beauty industry.
Isn't that fantastic? That is so cool.
In some of the because they have to put in, you know, budgets and renos pictures before or after or whatever. If we have the business categories, then we have 2 people from 2 different, or 3 actually, from different finance companies that will look at it just from a figure point of view. So if anybody knows anybody, they're recused from judging that entire category. So don't also think that, you know, because you're just starting out in the industry and people don't know you, that's not going to help. It makes no difference whatsoever. In fact, I would encourage it. I'd encourage it even more, because what happens then is you enter, and your first time you may not get through, but you've already got that peer recognition. And then the following year when you do, it's like, oh yeah, we remember them from last year, and you see how much that's, you know, changed or increased or whatever. And I think that, you know, it also gives you a lot of information that, if we were talking about media before, a lot of the information that you put into this, you've almost then got an article ready to go about your business. So use all that information to then go to local media and say, oh, you know, I wonder if you ever do profiles on salons in the area. You can, it's all done. You don't have to go to somebody else to do it, because you've done it in your submission. So you can very easily talk about, you know, the fact that you grow your own tea in the back garden or whatever some crazy thing is, because you've written it in your submission. So you know, you'll find that's why I'm saying, don't just think about it as the awards. You've got to really look at what else it does
Well,
for your
it's
business.
bigger. Yeah, it's bigger picture, isn't it? You really got to just, you know, step out of the box and have a look and just really see it for really, truly what it is. And I think it's wonderful. I'd like you to tell everyone, Linda, where do they go so that they can read more about it? And
the easiest place to go is just the Mocha website. So it's mochagroup.com.au. If they go onto the Mocha website and look at the tab at the top for beauty, they'll see the ABIAs, and what they'll be able to do from that is download the information kit, which gives them everything they need to know about every single category, all the questions so you don't have to go into the site yet. You can just look at all that, look at what's expected of you. And then there's also a link there as well to go directly to the site. The good thing with our awards is that we use a site where basically you can register, you can start an entry, and then you can disappear. You can go back in and out. You don't have to have it all ready to all upload all in one go. You can just spend 4 months putting it in, changing it, putting it out. Even once you've submitted, if you submit before the deadline and suddenly you think, oh my God, I wish I'd uploaded that, you can do that. You can go in and out as often as you want. So I would encourage anyone just to go onto the website first, which is mochagroup.com.au, and all the information is on there.
That's just wonderful.
Or get in touch with me. I'm happy to talk underwater about it.
Poor Linda. She'll help you out. Poor Linda. This has been beautiful. As you all know, I'm in Greece right now with Toby, and it's freezing cold. I think, did you have the AC on before? Like I could see just a little bit. And just, you know, she's got a t-shirt on, and I'm sitting here with a woolen jacket, frozen in Greece.
Really hot.
But you know, I go onto the balcony and I look up at the mountains, and there's just snow on the mountain. It's so beautiful. And then I look down through the balcony. I can see the sea, the gorgeous Ionian Sea. So beautiful. But we're missing Australia, I have to say. Oh gosh, you know, I love Greece, but Australia, what can I say about that? It's been great being with you, Linda. I had to wake up early this morning.
Me again.
Pardon?
Thank you for inviting me again.
How could I not invite you? This is unbelievable. I love this. I love these amazing women that do incredible things for our industry. It's just amazing. We're going to speak to you again. I'm going to get up early again for you because we've got a lot of.
Yeah, I would love to talk about just, you know, giving people some points and pointers on how to do media. That's a big one.
Media we want. We want to talk about even tweaks, more tweaks about the submission. Maybe we want to talk about the industry as a whole. What do you see? I've got so many questions here. I didn't ask any of them. It's very terrible.
Okay.
Really, we didn't ask any.
I probably answered them anyway because you and I think you did forever.
But I
just to let everyone know, we started this and we spoke for an hour before we started recording. Nothing to do with it.
We covered, I think, almost.
So for me, it's now, what time is it now? It's 4:45. Oh, I think that's probably wine time on a Friday.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go have another cup of coffee, actually. That's my time. Okay. Thanks, Linda, so much. So beautiful being with you. Thank you, everybody. You can ask me any questions. Yeah, you can ask me any questions if you like about, just contact me as well. I'm really happy to support you and help you. And for now, it's goodbye from us.
Bye.